Welcome, folks, to the Natural Nation Network. I want to assure you this is going to be an absolutely fascinating show. We have two of my quickly becoming favorite people. Oh my gosh,
favorite people.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God. You guys are the like sandwich in between, like just a lot of love here.
No baloney.
No baloney, absolutely. This is the real beef. It's not. Well, no, wait a minute. I don't know if that's appropriate because we're talking health and wellness here, right?
Grass-fed beef.
Grass-fed. That's grass-fed, organic. Absolutely.
Yes.
This is the real deal, though. 100%. Folks, I am so excited. Alexis, we have an opportunity to now welcome to the Synergy family, Well-Being Simplified. Ladies, welcome Miss Tracy and Heather. It is an honor and pleasure to have you here joining us. So welcome to the Natural Nation.
Yes.
Likewise. We
you.
feel
We're
like you guys are family already.
Yes, and we're so honored to be here. This is fun.
Gosh, I have been bragging about you all because one of the things that has really been very clear to me is this beautiful elegance that you use to communicate the story of health. And what I love about you guys is, so Heather, and we've got to get them right. So Tracy is in black. Heather is in, what would you call that, ladies?
Ghost Rose.
It's my best orange.
Oh, that's your best orange. Okay. Well, see, I'm afraid to talk women colors because you're like, no, this isn't blue. It's fuchsia. Or whatever you ladies say that confuses the heck out of us guys.
Oranges.
Yeah, exactly.
A little
Orange. So it's okay, yeah.
We'll call it Stroh's color for today.
Stroh's colors, yes.
Yes.
Go Stroh's. This is an exciting time for us here in Houston. But you guys approach health from what I call the bilateral approach, right? From the physical and the emotional and of course, mental side. And I think that is beautiful. So to get our audience familiar with you, can you just tell us a little bit about how this all started and what inspired it all?
Well, we call this Well-Being Simplified. Call us lazy. But Tracy and I decided with our 50 plus years background in health and in education and in training combined. Did I say combined?
Yes, I was going to say, otherwise you're 70 years old.
It's still a little scary just to really put that out there.
Yes.
But we decided that, it's when you talk about health and well-being, it can be quite ominous to many people and overwhelming and almost paralyzing. And so Tracy and I literally, do we say this out loud, sitting by a pool one day, generated this concept of this program called Well-Being Simplified that is truly just 3 steps, that's research-based, that is a roadmap with very, very simple techniques that you can do that we guarantee can transform your life.
Wow.
And so we started that one day by the pool, putting together our collective knowledge and experience. And that was the genesis of Well-Being Simplified, and now we're honored to share it with all of the healthy people that are listening today.
Wow.
Yes.
That is pretty awesome. So everything starts with an idea, right? Because ideas are so infectious. But let's give folks a little bit of your background, because both of you have very impressive resumes. So Tracy, I remember when we spoke before, you are Dr. Tracy, you are a naturopath, a health and wellness naturopath. Tell us how that journey started.
I am. Well, believe it or not, the journey started with me wanting to be an astronaut.
Wow.
Shoot
for the stars, literally.
Where did that come from? I spent a couple of years in aerospace engineering school and realized it just wasn't my thing. Wonderful if it was, but it wasn't. And there was a different purpose, I think. God had a different purpose for me, and so shortly after that I became very ill myself. And I spent many months in bed and went from doctor to doctor, and finally a doctor was able to determine what was going on with me, and I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and Epstein-Barr virus and all kinds of yucky stuff, and the prognosis wasn't good. I was said to probably be in bed for the rest of my life, or in and out of bed for the rest of my life. I'd never be able to hold down a real job, and yada yada yada. I, of course, was very discouraged, and their solution was Prozac, which I chose not to use because I said, I'm not depressed, although this is making me depressed.
Right.
I'm not depressed. So I eventually was directed towards a health food store, which was completely out of my, lifestyle line of sight. I was, a junk food addict, had been for years, and went in and they said, that's easy. All you have to do is change your diet, take these supplements. And I said, what do I have to lose? So I was out of bed in 2 months. 2 weeks, not 2 months, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks I was out of bed. So, of course, I became very passionate about it and started researching and learning everything I knew. I had a health food store out in the Hill Country for several years and my own radio show.
Nice.
For a few years, and then moved back home to Houston where I had grown up. And I have a clinic there now. So we do all kinds of wellness work. And in the meantime, I became a traditional naturopath, amongst other things, and just continue to learn and grow and want to share that knowledge with anyone who will listen.
Wow. That is an awesome journey. I love that.
I know.
I love that. But it's amazing how the more practitioners we talk to, the more we realize that so many are inspired by their own health challenges.
Yes.
And that becomes the genesis for what becomes their career or their calling, if you will.
Right. You
Wow.
see a different way, and you want everyone else to be able to reap the benefits of, wow, your mind opens. You want to say, you know what, there is another way. You don't have to be sick, and you don't have to keep taking something to cover up symptoms and not getting to the root cause of whatever your issue is.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I was going to say, now, Heather, you started out in the educational
I
system.
did. And so Tracy and I, we have varied backgrounds. And so for me, I started out with a master's in education and teaching in the public schools. And later got very interested in the behavioral realm of not just the kids, but working with the teachers. And so I became a district-wide behavior specialist. And that just cinched the deal for me. I just really just watching human nature and watching that we can change. These children, some of these kids in the schools that are struggling so much. The preponderance of ADHD, labeling these days is just skyrocketed. And just like Well-Being Simplified, what I discovered is that simple changes in what these children are doing in their habits, in their behavior, in the way that they think about themselves and perceive themselves as learners, and setting up just some simple routines was life-changing. So I later became a national consultant, did a little international work as well, and was training adults that were working with children. And just to bring my journey forward, found my own journey of holistic health, just personally.
Yes.
And got board certification of holistic health practitioner. And I melded the two together. And about this time, Tracy and I met. I melded the two
Right on
together.
time.
Right on time.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right with the
Wow.
reinvention.
Chocolate and peanut butter. Okay, I love it.
Which one am I? But so now
I
I'm
keep using these really unhealthy analogies. I'm
exactly.
just not good. I'm sorry.
Don't drink your Diet Coke, okay?
I don't drink Diet Coke. I resent that. Okay, so yes.
So now I'm a
you're-
holistic behavior specialist.
I love
and
that.
so I work with adults and children
Wow.
on Well-Being Simplified, on small ways that you can affect changes in your life that have dramatic results.
Wow, I love that. Love
Yeah.
that. So you all really have found the perfect harmonies between mind and body. Can you expound on how the two are interrelated?
How are they not?
How are they not? That's a better question.
Right. I mean, it's just amazing. And we've all had that. Heather always gives some good analogies about butterflies in your stomach or a knot in your throat. Those are physical reactions. Or we, often have these visceral reactions to physical things. But we all know that it goes even further than that. Sometimes knee pain can be associated with not wanting to move forward, looking at the whole body as a picture. And our bodies were created to be essentially a map of what's going on in our psyche and our brain internally. And so it's learning to recognize those red flags and make a change before big issues happen. Before the cartilage in the knee is worn down, or before the migraines keep you from being able to work or function in a family situation, or those kinds of things. And I'm sure you can expound upon that.
Well, you did a great job. So the mind and the body talk to each other, and it goes both ways.
Right.
It's symbiotic and it's reversed, and so what we think, let's say our minds, so our thoughts can literally affect neurohormonally what is going on in our body. So if we're having a negative thought about ourselves or about someone else, we are triggering a very similar chemical cascade in the body that might happen if we ingest a physical toxin. So the body doesn't know the difference. And so the mind, the thoughts, can literally affect physically the body. You know, the butterflies in the tummy. You know, I might have the same butterflies in the tummy when thinking about going on the radio as I might have when I actually come on the radio. So my thoughts are just as powerful as the reality of the situation. And so it's all about, and we like to say that, you know, stress doesn't happen to us necessarily. It's not the being on the radio. It's what's happening in us.
Yeah.
It's the thoughts. It's that neurochemical cascade, the cortisol, you know, creating the butterflies in the tummy, the stress hormone. So it's what's happening in us. So stress doesn't happen to us, it happens in us. And so it's all about learning how to manage our stress response. And when Tracy and I say stress, we kind of take that tag team approach. She and Well-Being Simplified tends to focus on the more physical aspects. So stress could be malnutrition, it could be physical toxins. Again, they have a very similar effect on the body. And then I take the more mental and emotional angle of the mind-body connection. And again, the stress could be a thought. It could be an emotion that's stuck somewhere in the body, like Tracy said. So stress doesn't happen to us, it happens where? In us.
Inside.
That's right.
It's our reaction.
And so, but we have the power, right? If that's where it's happening, we have the power to
We
release.
control that.
Yeah.
We can control. And then I just like the importance of how food and the body, everything works together, and your responses to what you put in the inside shows up on the outside, whether it's in your speech, your body language, whether it's in the way you carry yourself. Everything really does start with what you put inside, from food to what you read, what you look at,
That's right.
everything
True.
moving forward.
Absolutely.
Amen.
It's all connected. Wow,
Yeah.
I'm loving this conversation. See, folks, I told you this was going to be awesome. Guys, you are listening to Well-Being Simplified with Dr. Tracy and Heather. We are on the Natural Nation Network. We're going to take a brief break. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation of mind and body. We'll be back in just a moment.
Visit our website at www.synergyradionetwork.
This is Jolanda Jones from I'ma Tell It. When you're not able to watch us live on your mobile device, be sure to stay connected to Synergy Radio 1480 anywhere in Houston, in your house, in your office, or in your car by tuning into 1480 AM. Synergy Radio Network, where it all comes together.
The Morning Magazine is about reaching the different personalities that we express in our lives at any given time, and addressing the psychological, spiritual, and emotional desires that attach to those personalities. It will surprise no one to know that we exist simultaneously as child and parent, student and teacher, advocate and critic. We are, in fact, leaders and followers. We're not one-celled organisms. The magazine brings to our listeners the informative data and entertaining conversations that help simplify these matters for us. Magazine seeks to break through the clutter and make sense of these complexities of life by using information, people, and events with which people identify.
Some of them found their way to Fenway, trying to go to AL.
Yolanda Jones from I'ma Tell It. When you're not able to watch us live on your mobile device, be sure to stay connected to Synergy Radio 1480 anywhere in Houston, in your house, in your office, or in your car by tuning into 1480 AM. Synergy Radio Network, where it all comes together.
The Morning Magazine is about reaching the different personalities that we express in our lives at any given time, and addressing the psychological, spiritual, and emotional desires that attach to those personalities. It will surprise no one to know that we exist simultaneously as child and parent, student and teacher, advocate and critic. We are, in fact, leaders and followers.
66. Follow and like us on Facebook at Synergy Radio Network.
Network here on Synergy Radio. We are blessed to have in the studio with us this morning Well-Being Simplified. And I love the elegance and the simplicity of what you've said so far, because something you just mentioned prior to our break, Heather, that I thought was pretty powerful is that thoughts can be just as toxic as ingesting something that is toxic, because it can have a similar effect on our physiology. That's pretty powerful.
It is powerful, and it's been proven with science. You know, studying what happens biochemically in the body and what hormones are released. Same hormones. Body doesn't know the difference.
Yes.
Yep. And that's one thing too, even with being the health coach, is I say that the body doesn't know when you're under that stress state. It doesn't know when you eat a Twinkie, if you're eating a Twinkie or whether you're having a salad. When you're in that stress state, the body responds to both of them the same way.
Yeah,
that's right.
They all create
That's why
acids
it's
and
definitely
toxins.
important to be aware of those chemicals when they're coming on, when you feel stress, and all those.
You know, something that you ladies have done quite brilliantly, I might add, is this idea of well-being simplified and wellness simplified is really for us to have some foundational stuff that's easy for us to recall. And you have something called the 3 R's that you work with.
Yes.
R to the third power.
And that is not because I'm a former teacher. Reading, writing, arithmetic.
Yes, it is. You should see working with her. She's like, no.
Like greater
the 3 R's.
papers. No, I don't.
Hey, look, I have symmetry issues. Like, I have to have everything symmetrical.
That's called
and I'm
OCD.
not OCD. I'm not. I deny those allegations, counselor.
Yes.
So what is R3? R to the third power. What is that?
So we like to think of it as a roadmap, you know, a roadmap to well-being that doesn't require you to learn how to run a marathon or climb a mountain or become a vegan, you know. It's like, all right, every now and then a Twinkie.
It's okay, you have one.
Okay, what? I think we gotta go work out with
on a
Alexa.
cinnamon
You have
bun
one.
instead of a Twinkie? I don't know. Gosh. Okay.
No Twinkies.
Not the one that's on the top of the building downtown in New York, you know,
Right.
that's been sitting there for 40
Oh,
years
that's
and
right.
hasn't degraded.
Next to the McDonald's French fries.
Yes.
But so the 3 R's. So with, you know, these 3 R's are a little bit of an esoteric, but what we want to do is we want to take the listening audience on a journey through these segments, and we want to take these 3 R's, and I'll just tell you what they are, and we want to dissect them and give really easy to implement in your life, like immediately to implement in your life, that can have an immediate change that day and has a cumulative effect on the mind and body over time. So the first R would be release. The second R is rejuvenate. And the third R is reinvent. So we want to release to our well-being. We want to rejuvenate our well-being. And we want to reinvent our own well-being.
I love that. Wow.
So, and then Tracy, do you want to talk about kind of the 2 steps underneath each of those, the release?
Absolutely. So release, my part. So, you know, we're tag team here.
Yes,
So
yes.
my part is about releasing, opening up the channels of elimination in the body to be able to release the toxins that have built up in the system. So you can do that in many different ways, and we'll explain those ways. But hydration is one of them. We will talk a lot about proper hydration and the importance of hydration. We'll also talk about some other techniques, and Heather is going to be talking in that release segment about breath work and how incredibly powerful it is from a physical hand. Yeah, got a physical
Poster child here.
standpoint. I know, but it also changes our neurotransmitter balances. It also helps calm the nervous system down. It also helps get rid of toxins. That's a channel of elimination, is the breath. The lungs. So that's going to be a very powerful segment. And then we'll go into the rejuvenate section, which I'm going to talk about nutrition. And it's not, like Heather said, you don't have to become a vegan. You can still eat grass-fed beef. Organic grass-fed beef.
Yes, okay.
But it's about
For those
balance.
beef
And
Yes.
everything we do, we talk about it from a scientific standpoint. So we try to use studies to back up everything we talk about. So we're not just saying, we think you should do this. We're saying, you know what? Studies have shown that this is an effective way. Studies have shown that this is the amount of water you should be taking, or this is the number of fruits and vegetables, or these fruits and vegetables are better, whatever it is. So we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that segment.
Can I just say about that, I love listening to her talk about nutrition because it does not stress me out. Speaking of
Right.
stress doesn't happen to us, it happens in us. When I hear Tracy talk about nutrition,
Yes.
what happens inside me is, oh, I can do that.
Well,
You know,
thank
like,
you. It's
that's
about
simple.
balance. It's about balance. And I'm not saying that I'm a perfect eater, and I don't expect anybody to be. And I think it's really important to 80 to 90% of the time eat really well. And then you know
Right.
what? There's Thanksgiving dinner. And there's the day the Astros win.
Or Saturday.
There's the, you know,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's always some, you know, it doesn't mean you have to think of certain foods as evil and certain foods as good, and you can't force yourself to like spinach if you hate spinach. But we can find ways to get those kinds of nutrients in the body, because it's really important to have proper nutrition for your body to rebuild its cells and to feel good and to think well. You know, if you're, and we all know this, if you've been eating a lot of junk food, you are going to be a little foggy-headed.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, and then Heather's going to talk about the importance of, and you can talk about
Of meditation. And so, you know, many folks think of meditation as being a woo-woo, I got to go become a Zen monk and sit on the mountaintop.
Right.
But if you have a prayer life, you know what meditation is. And there are probably more research almost in anything we'll talk about on this meditation segment. So wait for it, because it's coming.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
I love
It's
it.
really awesome.
And then
Nice.
the third piece
The
is
third
just
one?
that reinventing.
Yeah,
Yes,
And
that's the fun part.
the movement?
Yeah, so I'll talk about movement, how the importance of movement. This is not an exercise piece, although we will be kind of
Right.
leaning on Alexis
Yeah.
about the importance of exercise. This is about changing the way your body moves and how important that is, not only in terms of how good you're going to feel, but also in how you project yourself to other people. So the way others perceive you.
Power poses.
Power poses, how people perceive you, how the world sees you, and how you project yourself. And of course, then you'll get more positive feedback, and then you're going to feel better. It's just kind of this wonderful two-way street that you can have. And Heather is going to talk
And then the last
about-
piece on the third R of reinventing your own well-being is manifestation. And so it goes back to reframing our thinking. It goes back to purposely feeling good emotions.
Right.
That can rewire through neuroplasticity the brain superhighway.
Right.
If we can just purposely
Yeah.
practicing feeling good emotions, and then what happens is we're a magnet for more of that. So if we can manifest, if we can reframe our thinking, if we can use vision work, we can reinvent our life.
And
that's
we'll
our
teach
third
you
R.
how to do
we
this.
will. Very
you know,
simple.
These are simple
And then-
steps.
Yes, and I just like, and that's what drew me to you ladies, is just that being simple, keeping some people think being healthy, working out, that it has to be so complicated when there's so many simple steps. People are like, how do you eat healthy all the time? How do you stay positive all the time? But you said it. Do it on purpose. It's intentional. It's what the way that we strive to live every day.
Yeah.
I like it. Intentionality.
Right, intention.
Bingo.
That's true.
And you know what's so powerful about intention is, I've been reading this, and this is right in your wheelhouse. So part of what I've added to the upcoming book, I better stop being so shamelessly saying this, but
Yeah, he can like, no, I read it, look
you
at
can
it,
look at
nothing.
it. But there has been some stuff done on heart science
Yes.
that shows the electromagnetic frequencies of the heart is emanated out
Huge.
at least 4 to 5 feet
Yeah.
away from our bodies
6
at
feet.
all times, and people can sense that on this
can.
intuitive level.
They
And
can.
I love
Love
that
it.
idea, because when you walk in a room and you light it up, there's a physiological, scientific reason that that's happening.
And what a gift, yeah. Oh, I
Go
was
ahead,
just going to
Tracy.
say, what a gift you're giving to everyone else.
Yes.
You know, you are affecting everyone you come in contact with. I mean, it's like in the grocery store. You've got a great person, you know, you meet somebody wonderful in the checkout line and she smiles and gets you all excited. Well, that changes your mood and you change someone else, you know, and you have no idea. It could be 10 people down the road.
That's right. And hopefully the butterfly effect, and then we start having like this universal effect on all the negative, people that are around
That's
us.
right.
And we
We're gonna
start
overpower 'em.
shifting
Yes.
that
Well,
energy.
it's that collective consciousness piece, and
Yes.
it really has been scientifically studied through neurocardiologists that you allude to that are studying what's happening outside of our bodies when we think these positive thoughts, when we feel these good emotions. And they're actually studying, there's 6 different countries that they're looking at where people are on purpose doing some of these things that we will be teaching during Well-Being Simplified. And they're finding crime rates going down. They're finding less hospital visits, etc. Real powerful stuff.
Very exciting.
I love it. I love it. Folks, you're listening to Well-Being Simplified here on Synergy Radio. I'm going to give out this number because I want you all listening to contact these amazing ladies. Schedule some time to visit and learn how you can adjust the mind and body and get it tweaked. That number is 713-861-6777. Again, that's 713-861-6777. And we're going to give that out again at the end of the show. But I'm just having such a fabulous time having this conversation with you all. We're going to continue here in just a moment.
Yes.
Folks, you're listening to Well-Being Simplified here on the Natural Nation Network with Dr. Tracy and holistic practitioner, sorry.
That one.
Heather.
Orange shirt.
Yes, the Strohs fan. I love it. We'll be back in just a moment here on Synergy Radio.
You're listening to Synergy Radio 1480.
Fans, some of them found their way to Fenway, trying to go to the AL.
The Morning Magazine is about reaching the different personalities that we express in our lives at any given time and addressing the psychological, spiritual, and emotional desires that attach to those personalities. It will surprise no one to know that we exist simultaneously as child and parent, student and teacher, advocate and critic. We are, in fact, leaders and followers. We're not one-celled organisms. The magazine brings to our listeners the informative data and entertaining conversations that help simplify these matters for us. Magazine seeks to break through the clutter and make sense of these complexities of life by using information, people, and events with which people identify.
This is Jolanda Jones from I'ma Tell It. When you're not able to watch us live on your mobile device, be sure to stay connected to Synergy Radio 1480 anywhere in Houston, in your house, in your office, or in your car by tuning into 1480 AM. Synergy Radio Network, where it all comes together.
Fans, some of them
C13, and you're listening to Synergy 1480, where it all comes together.
Sure. How are you
Hello.
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic.
Everybody
fantastic.
seems to be doing well. I've been listening, so it's been a great conversation, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yes, yes. Now, of course, Corey does some different areas in health and wellness, so operates in that vertical on the physical fitness side of things. And
Yes.
So what do you think about some of what the ladies have been saying with regard to some of the mind-body connection?
Yeah, I think it's something that we all know to be true. And I think whether we talked about this a little bit last week too, so whoever might have been listening may have heard this, but regardless of what area of health and wellness anybody practices in, we all, I think, understand how intertwined they all are. So whether you're into personal training or, you compete in fitness or you're into nutrition or yoga, there's something that ties all of that together. And I think the mind-body connection is just that.
Yeah.
Your thoughts and what you're putting out there and how you're exerting yourself physically, they all tie into your mood and your overall health. And so that's kind of the space I play in, is tying all of that together into and we were talking about balance earlier. I know you guys were talking about it's all about balance, and nobody's a perfect eater. Nobody exercises perfectly. If you do, then tell us the secret.
right.
But
Sure.
it's all about balance. And so I think finding people who really believe in that and who can all have a conversation about it is key.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
As you speak there, Corey, one of the things that I've noticed, and you alluded to this, Heather, in this breath work that we were talking about, is that you have a certain degree of clarity and a certain degree of stress management when you start becoming conscious of breath.
Yes, well, there's a reason why. And it's the mind-body connection, and it's a very special thing inside our body called the vagus nerve. And the
Like
Vegas,
not Las Vegas.
Not
Not
Las
like
Vegas.
this. Okay.
I-
What
I-
happens in? Sorry.
I love it when I teach children
What
this.
happens in the vagus nerve?
Stays in the vagus nerve.
I don't know.
Yes.
It's just not going anywhere else.
Yes.
This is true. I'm going to have
Okay.
to steal that, Corey.
You can take it.
But VAGUS. I'll copyright it for you.
Okay.
Okay.
So vagus nerve, it's the largest nerve in our body, and it runs, as you might guess, from the trunk, from our abdomen, our belly, all the way up through visceral organs.
Yes.
So through our heart,
Yes.
through our lungs,
Yes.
through our liver, through our stomach, and ends, you got it, in the brain.
Wow.
So it's the mind-body connection, and that message that goes up through the vagus nerve is exactly what happens when we get the butterflies in our tummy. We think the thought, oh my gosh, I'm about to public speak. Oh my goodness, I'm in the World Series. Like
Yes.
these poor Astros. Like, can you imagine?
I wonder if
No
they're
pressure.
nervous.
They've got to be.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Wow.
And so what happens is that again, that neurochemical message has a conduit. It's called the vagus nerve. And it travels all the way down as a negative thought, a weakening thought. And it ends in our belly, and it creates butterflies.
Wow.
So mind-body connection through the vagus nerve. Now, breath work can mitigate that.
Yes.
So when we purposely put air into the belly, and we'll talk about this in a later segment,
Yes.
we really can reverse that reaction.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
powerful.
fascinating. That is fascinating. So I'm really loving that, because it speaks to the physiology of what happens when the mind takes on a certain series of thoughts, right? So, and I know offline, Tracy, Dr. Tracy, we were talking about the fact that even certain foods can affect that mental process.
Absolutely.
So if we had that quote unquote, I'm gonna blame the Twinkie. I'm gonna vilify the Twinkie. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna start a petition. Like, Twinkies should be like right up there with Lucifer. Okay. All right. No. But sorry, I digress. But this notion that if you eat something before you're about to go into an important meeting or get on stage, how does it affect you?
Well, in a lot of ways. One, and actually Alexis was talking about this earlier, your digestive process can create a lot of toxins. So here you get the toxic exposure again, and that can go to whatever organ, probably your intestines, but spread throughout the body, cause a lowering of energy.
Yes.
And it also creates a lot of toxic exposure around the brain. It can make you have poor memory. It can make you have foggy thinking, which we don't want to do when we're up on stage talking to
No.
people. And it also just makes your whole just energy and presence at a lower level. So it's a good idea, and we'll talk about this in the segment on nutrition as well, when you are hitting those points where you're going to really want to feel good, to know what kinds of foods and what combinations of foods make you feel at your best and your strongest. And Heather has some really good techniques as well, some good kind of energy balancing techniques that you can use in combination to really help your body, help you feel stronger. And like we were talking about with the heart emanating, we are going to emanate a positive experience, emanate a positive presence, and people will pick up on that. We pick up on that with people.
Energy's contagious.
Yeah, it's on the outside is what's going on the inside.
Wow,
So.
I love that. I love that. Energy is contagious, both positive energy
And negative.
and the negative stuff, right? Because you've got some people that are just naysayers and you know,
Drain.
yes. And then we've also heard of that phenomenon with like not gang violence, that's the wrong word, but like crowds that have like that
Gang mentality.
gang
Brainwash.
mentality,
Right.
where they go into this crazy negative mode, and this is all because of this energy transference.
Yeah.
That's
And
fascinating.
being able to learn how to be aware of that and teach your children that. Teach them to be aware of that. I think that's so important. I don't think people talk in general enough with children, and Heather has a program that she has implemented in schools to help teach kids to be aware of their emotional states and be able to
how to
use
change
breathing to change it.
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
awesome.
love that. Because more than anything, I think children really have to have that type of training. If they could be grounded that way right from the beginning, gosh, then there wouldn't be
Someone
as
had
many
taught me
fights
that.
in the
Right.
sandbox, right?
That's
Right. Well, and we
true.
never really have that type of training, whether, from childhood to adulthood. I don't think we ever really tap into that unless you're listening to a conversation like this or you're associating yourself with people who really believe
Right.
in that. There's no teaching of how to regulate your emotions and how to be in tune with that. It's kind of just, I don't know, trial by error. And some people don't even view
get
it
it.
as important, don't get it, don't make the effort to tune into that.
But that's shifting now. 'Cause
It is.
groups like Heather's Present
Exactly.
Time Kids are going into schools and starting to do that. But it's going to take a while for that
yeah.
to become,
And it should
the
be
norm.
more universal.
It should
like,
be the
why
norm.
don't we talk about that in school just as much as we
Absolutely.
talk about anything else? It's just, I think it's just as important. I think we all
It's your
agree.
EQ.
Exactly.
And you've got to have
And
that.
you hit the, Corey, the idea of emotional regulation is a really hot term right now, not just for kids, but for adults. And it goes back to everything we're talking about with this mind-body connection. And stress not happening to us, stress happening in us.
Yes,
And so if
yes.
I can learn easy techniques that can help me regulate my emotions, then I can I can reinvent my own well-being. And so if I had been taught that stuff when I was 8 years old, imagine
Superwoman. Literally.
You already
but I'm
are
still
Superwoman.
learning it now. No.
Oh, trust me, there are a lot of folks on Houston traffic freeways that need to learn that. We've got road rage. We've got all kinds of folks, some of which happen to be running countries and stuff. I'm just saying. So it's just I'm not going to go there.
regulation. You said it.
I'm not going to go there.
Hey, a lot of them
But-
are on 45 North right there.
That's right. Did you say
Just
45?
ask them.
Okay. Yeah, that had a double entendre right in there, right? Number 45. Guys, so this has been good, guys. Folks, you're listening to Well-Being Simplified here on Synergy Radio. That number to reach out to Dr. Tracy and Heather, 713-861-6777. 713-861-6777.